Look who's back in the kitchen with 4 more fall-inspired Crockpot freezer meals. Who's ready? Hey guys, Kira here from 50 Shades of Mom, back to share with you 4 more fall-inspired Crockpot freezer meals. Now this time I want to do something a little bit different. I know that last time we stayed more in the genre of dinner because I know that's usually the meal where most people are on the go and they really look for that easy solution to throw something in the crock pot and help with time. But for me, I really keep pinning all these wonderful flavors on Pinterest that I did not want to be ignored solely because they were not labeled dinner. So I decided to create a meal plan of an entire day full of fall-inspired meals. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, and dessert. But who's to say anyways that you can't have a really fluffy pumpkin French toast with maple sausage for dinner? Or who's to say that you can't have a corn and potato chowder with a nice side salad and a crusty piece of bread for dinner? Now for my actual dinner choice, I chose a copycat recipe from Texas Roadhouse because if you have ever eaten there, you know that their pot roast just screams the epitome of a really warm and comfort food fall meal. And as far as my dessert choice, that's for that weak mommy moment when you really want a warm apple crisp with vanilla bean ice cream and caramel sauce drizzled on top instead of dinner, which I know I have plenty of those moments. So stick with me, let's hop on that autumn flavor train and let's roll into the kitchen. So obviously we're starting our day off with breakfast. So you saw me slice the bread into like cubed pieces like this, and I already added it to my crock pot, and now I'm using that bowl that the bread was in. I have 6 eggs here in this bowl. Made sure I got no shells. The next step, besides 6 eggs, is 1/4 cup of brown sugar, 2 cups of milk, 1 cup of pumpkin pie filling or pumpkin, just pureed pumpkin. I got the Libby's one, I always get that one. And then you're gonna do 1 teaspoon of pumpkin spice. Now this is always my tip for when you're doing spices and liquids, because we also need a teaspoon of vanilla. If you're going to use the same one, do the dry ingredients first so that it doesn't get wet, and then you don't do the dry ingredients and then it gets stuck to it and you don't get an exact measurement. So this says 1 teaspoon of pumpkin spice seasoning and then 1 teaspoon of vanilla. We're going to whisk this up and we're going to pour this over that bread. Now, its suggestion is that you can refrigerate it up to 4 hours or preferably overnight. But for us, we're going to freeze it. So that is actually perfect because it's going to be good and congealed when you drop it in the crock pot. Now, this is a really super and easy time length of recipe, okay? It's only 2 hours, which I really love that for a breakfast. Now, of course, you could always do breakfast for dinner, like I said, but if you're going to actually use this for a breakfast, this would be perfect to prep overnight and then have it out, take it out first thing in the morning, throw it in the crock pot, and 2 hours later you're going to have this fluffy and delicious pumpkin French toast. So it looks like I think we're good and blended. It smells so good. It smells like this should be going into a pie shell. So it looks like we're good. And let's pour this now over the bread. Now it doesn't say in the directions to make sure that it's all covered, but I think I'm just going to give this a little bit of a toss just to make sure that all of the bread gets this yummy mixture that we have. But if you're doing it in the bag, you always can just give it a good shake or knead the bag after you close it just to make sure that all of the ingredients are covering the bread and all of that. So, okay guys, so this is it. I'm going to cover this and stick this in the refrigerator for 4 hours, and then I'm going to put this in the crock pot, and we're doing breakfast for dinner tonight. So this is going to be the only meal out of this 4 that you'll get to see done, but I will share what this looks like all hot and, you know, plated up and everything. But I'm going to refrigerate this, and then we'll get on to lunch. Okay guys, so we've gotten through our delicious breakfast, and now it's time to make some lunch. So in this bag, I labeled it corn and potato chowder, the date, and then the instructions say low for 10 hours or high for 6 hours. And then when it's done, it wants you to blend or puree half of it. It recommends you use an immersion blender, but I don't have one of those. So it says if you don't have an immersion blender, to remove half of it and puree it like in a regular blender and then add it back to the soup. I guess this way it's not completely chunky. Some of it is smooth consistency and some of it is chunky. And then that's when you're going to add your 2 cups of cream. You're not going to add any cream in the freezer. You're going to do that when it's done. And it says let cook uncovered for 15 more minutes after you add the cream, and then salt and pepper to taste. I'm actually really excited about this because I've never made like a chowder kind of soup, and I love things like this. So this says completely dumping every single thing into this bag, and the only other instructions you're going to do are what I explained. So this is 2.5 pounds of russet potatoes. It says to cut them in these little pieces, but do not peel them. It says it's better if the potatoes are unpeeled. So I actually got like the yellow Yukon potatoes. This way it's not like dark skin in there. Now, hint, and I'm going to shout out to my girl Vanessa from the Lemonade Mom, because she just did a crock pot recipe for something similar, and when she pulled out her potatoes, they were brown. Which I did not know this. I'm so glad she did that, because it doesn't say anywhere in this recipe to do this, so I did some investigating, and the best way to do it is to blanch your potatoes first. So in this bowl, I soaked them in water, and I kept soaking them in cold water until the water ended up being clear. Like I would dump it and refill it, dump it and refill it. This way the potatoes are blanched and you take a good portion of the starch out, because that's what turns brown inside of a when you freeze a potato that has come in contact with the air, just like anything that turns brown, banana, apple, etc. Okay, so our potatoes are in there, and now you need 1 medium onion that is diced. You need 1/2 pound of bacon, cooked and then crumbled. I actually cooked it and then stuck it in the refrigerator to get it good and cold, so it was really easy to just kind of break the little pieces apart. You need 1 cup of celery. You need 6 to 8 cloves of garlic. I obviously did 8 because who doesn't want more garlic? This says 2 pounds of corn. So this is 2 packages of the sweet corn from Trader Joe's. Wow, this is going to be really tight in this bag. Oh my. We're just gonna make it. That's gonna make a buttload of soup. That's awesome. Like I said, I've never made chowder soup before, so this is gonna be really exciting. I hope I can get this bag closed. Okay, and then 4 cups of chicken broth. Okay guys, that's it. I'm going to do my best to close this up, and that is it. We have corn and potato chowder soup. So yum. Okay guys, so now we have arrived at the main course. We've been through breakfast, we've been through lunch, and now we're at dinner. So today I wanted to prepare a Texas Roadhouse pot roast. So here written on my bag, it says Texas Roadhouse pot roast, 1024, and then it says cook on low for 8 to 10 hours. So there's pretty much no prep work, too much in this besides dicing up some veggies. So it does ask for you to have celery, onion, and carrot cut. I do buy what's called a mirepoix, and I get this from Trader Joe's, and it literally is just already pre-cut that way. I know I'm lazy, but it's actually even frozen, and I didn't thaw it out because it's going to get refrozen again. When I go to Trader Joe's, I just buy it and I freeze it, and now I'm just stuffing it into the bag, which is good. It'll help prop my bag open for me. So now you need 2 cloves of diced garlic, and don't miss a drop of that because you'll notice. You need a half a cup of barbecue sauce. I am actually using the Jack Daniel's. This is the hickory brown sugar old number 7. I actually really like this one. It has a good bite to it, and it has a really good flavor. So I'm all about Jack Daniel's. I worked at Fridays for so long, and I just love all their Jack Daniel's stuff, so I'm really bad about loving that. So you need a half a cup of tomato sauce. So this is actually my sauce that I'm using, but you can use whatever sauce you want to use. And then we just need to now add some spices. So it tells you to add salt, but I don't want to add salt because it also requires you to add bouillon cubes. And these are super salty, but I prefer the flavor of these. So I added an extra one that it called for, and I'm going to use that instead of salt. Now, it did also ask for you to add potatoes to this. I happen to not really like potatoes in my pot roast like that. I really like when things like this make a gravy and I put it over mashed potatoes. That's just me. So I'm not adding potatoes to this bag, but again, when you guys check the recipe in the description box, it does say to add 2 large potatoes to this bag. But now you're going to add a half a teaspoon of pepper. And you're going to add a half a teaspoon of thyme. I love thyme. You actually could taste thyme over any flavor. Like, literally that teaspoon will make this whole thing have that thyme flavor. So this is it, guys. That is completely it. Like I said, you guys would normally add your potatoes to this, which I'm not doing. But that's it. You seal it up and stick it in the freezer. Take it out 8 to 10 hours in the crock pot on low, and you have yourself an amazing and yummy and delicious Texas Roadhouse style pot roast. Okay guys, so last but not least, we're at dessert. So I know you probably feel full after pumpkin French toast and then some soup and then some pot roast, but there's always room for a fall inspired dessert. So I really wanted to do something like completely fall. And what better than something apple? So this is a warm apple crisp. I'm actually really psyched about using this because I'm going to make this the night of Halloween, figuring that would be really good to have a nice ooey gooey dessert on Halloween. So for starters, it wants you to take apples. It said 5 large apples peeled and cut into these cubes. It wants you to take 1 cup of brown sugar, a half a scoop of regular sugar, which, hold on, I'm going to need a little bit more than that. Okay. And then you need 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and you need a half a teaspoon of salt. And now you're going to mix this, and we're going to put this in the bottom of 1 freezer bag because this is what's going to go in the bottom of your crock pot. Now, there's a separate bag that we're going to make for your topping because they want you to sprinkle a topping on the top. But if we mix that in, there's like no way to do that. So in a separate bowl, we're going to mix the topping and then we're just going to bag that separately and drop it right in this bag with it so that when it comes time to take this out of the freezer and have a dessert. Now, obviously, none of these recipes, if you really wanted to, do you have to freeze them. If you like these recipes and you want to cook them right now, or you see this and say, I gotta have that apple crisp this evening, well, then obviously you could throw it in the crock pot and you don't need to do this step. But for me, because I'm gonna freeze it, I don't wanna have to worry about doing the topping that day. So I'm gonna put the apples in this bag. So now we've mixed them all up and they're good and coated. It smells so, so yummy. I think apple and cinnamon is definitely probably one of my favorite fall flavors. I mean, we all love pumpkin everything, I'm sure, but there's just something about cinnamon and apple and just that real feeling of fall. So here we go. It's all dumped into this bag now. It's being very stubborn with me. So Vanessa ordered these things for her freezer meals, and I ordered them on Amazon, and they did not come in time because Daryl was off today, and I wanted him to keep the kids busy for me. So today was the day to cook, and I did not have them. But they're these nifty little things that pin the bag open that you can set down like this so you can dump everything in. I'm just using like a casserole dish to kind of help support it, but that thing would have really been key. Okay, so I'm going to slide this out now. And then here's the little bag that I labeled for the apple topping. Oh, let me show you guys what I wrote on this bag. So this says apple crumble, put today's date. It says 2 hours on high or low for 4 hours. And then it says to turn off and let it sit uncovered for 1 hour to let the sauce thicken. So that was the note that I wrote on that. So now maybe we'll keep it in here and let's scoot this little guy over. So I wrote apple topping on this bag and we're gonna stick it in here. And let me show you guys what I have in this bowl. And this is what drew me to this recipe because it's topped with oats. So I thought that sounded really good. So there's 2/3 cups oats in here. There's 2/3 cup brown sugar, a 1/4 cup of flour, a teaspoon of cinnamon, a teaspoon of vanilla, and 3 to 4 teaspoons of softened butter. So it really just wants you to kind of mix everything together, and really what they want you to do is work that butter into everything. So that butter is what's going to help make this turn into that crumble, which is what the recipe is called for. Now, and that's why I said that reminds me of just something so fall inspired, because I really love that crumbly topping of any kind of pie or cake. Like on Thanksgiving, if we get an apple pie, it has to be the ones with the crumble on top. Like the ones that they make where they cut the holes in it and stuff, they always look pretty and they taste good, but really it's just like dough with a pie filling. But when you do like something with a crumble like this, I don't know, it just really gives that kind of like crunch and crust that I happen to like. So, all right, I think we've worked this in enough. All the butter seems to be mixed in with everything. It almost smells like a brown sugar oatmeal. I don't know, it sounds really good. So let's see if I can maneuver this into this bag without spilling any of the goodness. I hope it's not going to cooperate with me. Oh, see, that's what I love. It's thick. That's going to be the good crumble, yes. Okay, so then once we have gotten all this yumminess into this bag, don't bail on me, crumble. All right, so now it's all in here. I'm not even going to miss one yummy drop. So that's what our apple topping crumble looks like. So we're just gonna seal this bag up and we're gonna drop it inside of this bag, guys, and that's it. Directions were the low for 4 hours or high for 2 hours, and that's it. That's your apple crumble. So that is our fall inspired dessert. Okay guys, so here is our complete day of fall inspired meals. This really was fun to do this. I miss Leanne and having a prep partner, but I have to give mad props to my husband tonight who stepped in and really helped. He really did a good chunk of dicing up the apples and the potatoes and the onions. So thank you. to you, babe. I really appreciate it. So let's take a peek. That is our pumpkin French toast down in there. I'm so excited. I can't wait to show you guys what that looks like when it's all done cooking. And then here is our corn and potato chowder. It was like tight closing that bag, so don't get nervous, but also make sure that you super seal it really good, because I didn't seal one tiny corner, and when I laid the bag down, a drop of the broth started to come out. So make sure you seal that bag really, really good. It's going to expand a little bit while it's freezing, so just make sure that you got it good and tight and in a spot where it's safe inside of your freezer and nothing's going to jam on it or anything to poke the hole. And then here's our pot roast. I did forget to let you guys know that you had to add a half a cup of water. I had it in the measuring cup and then turned the camera off and said, darn, I forgot to show you guys. So this recipe also calls for a half a cup of water inside this bag. But again, the actual measurements and all the breakdown and links will be in the description box. And then here's our apple crumble. This is like my favorite one. I feel like it's going to make like a caramel on the bottom and then the crumble on top. So I actually really can't wait. My mom loves this and she'll be here for Halloween. So I really can't wait to make that for her. And that's it for now, guys. So I'll be back in a little bit when this is all done, our French toast, and I'll plate it up and show you guys what that looks like all finished. Look, guys, I even picked my fall plate just to make it all pretty for you guys. But that is what the pumpkin French toast looks like. So I don't feel like they should call it pumpkin French toast, although you make it just like you would French toast. But I feel like because you dice the bread up and put it in the crock pot like that, it's very much like a bread pudding, which doesn't bother me any. I still threw a dollop of butter on there and threw some syrup on there. I'm still going to eat it like I would French toast, but it has very much of a bread pudding feel. But I just have some sausage and I picked on some eggs already while I was feeding the kids. But this is really, really super yummy, and I definitely think you guys should try it. If not a breakfast for dinner, at least for a family breakfast or something like that, because this really is super good. Okay guys, so I hope you enjoyed my full day of fall-inspired crock-pot freezer meals. I know I had a lot of fun preparing them for you guys, and that pumpkin French toast is absolutely fantabulous. If you guys are new to my channel, thank you so much for watching. I will invite you to hit that subscribe button and tap that bell. I do a cooking video every other Saturday, as well as tons of food-related things on this channel, including my kids and I will be sharing a 3-ingredient pumpkin bread this weekend, along with another surprise dessert. So keep on the lookout for that, and I will see you guys all in our next video. Bye, guys.